Welcome back, Smite fans. I hope you've had a chance to recover after that last set. Don't get that luxury, however. We are straight into our next one, Legacy versus Corvidae. Corvidae desperately trying to stay in the run for the Split 3 land. Legacy trying to confirm their own spot there. They just need to take one game away. One game, and then they're on their way to the regional finals and their chance at a shot at the Smite World Championship. Let's get stuck into the picks and bans because I know you guys can't wait. I can't wait either. Picks and bans coming up right now. So Legacy going to take the first pick here. We mentioned yesterday, Alpha, that Horizon has actually replaced Agony on this roster as Shred moved into the mid lane. So Horizon is now the jungler for Legacy eSports. Yesterday we saw him play Hornbats and we saw him play Thor. So I'm interested to see what his god pool can expand to today.
Well, there seems to be a lot of big impact ultimate gods coming out from him. I wouldn't be surprised to see him pick up another Hombat or another Thor just to get himself used to the Legacy playstyle in this OPL. If they get the first win here, I expect him to pull out something different, something he may not have expected to play in the next game, because that next game would basically be inconsequential, because both Legacy and Alpha City would have qualified for LAN, and Corvidae would have been just confined to relegations. But the bans coming through so far, Terra, Erlong Shen, and Qingwei all taken away.
Yeah, all, very high impact gods, but all of which have got very high win rates. In the OPL, Jingwei, I think she's been banned in every single game this week. That's just how much these teams respect her right now.
Well, it's not the fact that she's got such a high win rate, it's the fact that her kit is designed to carry in the late game whilst being incredibly safe throughout the rest of the game. And if you try and zone her out of the way, if you try and kill her and you don't get the kill, she's back at base healing up, and with her passive gets back to lane before the waves even hit the tower. And she's so safe with that, with her self knock-up into the dash, and with her airstrike ultimate banishing her for a few seconds, that it's impossible to kill her. But Freya is still someone else you have to look out for.
Yeah, exactly right. It's very similar to Jingwei, a little bit harder to lock down towards the middle stages of the game with her Valkyrie's discretion. Soul and Ratatask are going to be the pickups here for Corvidae. Pretty decently strong picks here for Corvidae. Again, we have to mention that Lone Wolf 42 is going to be subbing in the mid lane as Desecrator, the mid lane for Corvidae, has a burst appendix and is in hospital currently. Wish him all the best and this very speedy recovery indeed. Hunbats and Athena are going to be picked up for Legacy, so another Hunbats game for Horizon. Geb, the next pickup for Corvidae just before we head into the second ban stage.
I wouldn't be surprised to see if this Soul does go mid, just to give Lone Wolf that comfortable god. It could also still potentially see a Scylla coming out from either team. I mean, as we saw in the last set, was absolutely phenomenal play coming out from iDivine, which can be replicated, and Legacy do have to set it for it with that Hombat Athena, less so on Corvidae with the Rantasker Geb, but there's still a lot of CC potential from both teams to help set up that other monster. But bans still coming through here in this second banning phase. Raven and Janice taken away so far, followed up by the Amaterasu. So focusing at the solo lane here at Corvidae.
We actually saw Lone Wolf play Scylla in both his games yesterday against Royalty. Did an okay job, not as well as iDivine, but then again, it's very hard to replicate iDivine. Scylla pick is going to come through from Corvidae again, so that's going to be going to Lone Wolf and Soul in the AD carry position for Pure. Now, Legacy's last two picks here going to be their mid laner and their support. So going to be interesting to see what they pull out of the back here. Sorry, not their support, their solo laner. They do have a support in Athena. It's going to be Neath and Verman here for Legacy Esports. So Shred played Neath yesterday as well. Very similar kind of line of thinking to a cheater. Get myself some early clear, allow myself to not get pushed too far back by the Scylla in the early game, and just get myself, just apply pressure to the Scylla. Probably going to be a little bit easier to do to Lone Wolf than it is going to be to iDivine. Sun Wukong, the last pick here for Corvidae, very standard pick for them. That is one of Cryopredator's favorite gods to play.
Well, and it's going to be a bloodbath in solo lane, in my opinion. Both these gods excel at doing damage and bullying out opponents early on. Don't necessarily have the best defenses early on as well. And their heal is on their ultimate, meaning until they get to level 5, it's just up to the potions to sustain them through the early game. But early ward coming out from Legacy, just making sure that Trilogy and Cryopredator can't invade as we are in-game. And already clearing out the speed buff. Again, it's just a slight bit faster here for Corvidae.
I don't think that's going to worry Legacy too much. They're all very mechanically strong players. They're all very confident players as well in themselves. Blue buff is going to be taken quicker here by Corvidae than it is by Legacy. As I said, though, they're not going to worry too much about it. It looks as if, yeah, Horizon's not even going to the solo lane. Only got a solo Recognize. He's probably going to lose out on a couple of creeps here. But Legacy think that it's going to be more impactful for them to secure mid camps and than it is to necessarily secure waves in the solo lane.
And everybody out there, don't worry, I'm just as tilted as you are. I was only going to solo buy some
Yes.
boots in the third item slot.
Again.
Blanket.
Yesterday as well. Just to, just to tilt you, Andy. Just to tilt you.
They know me too well.
Yeah. It's just like me with that tower and run up runner. I'm still triggered by that.
But Shred, he's the one that's getting tilted right now. Very low in mid lane, thanks to Trilogy and Lone Wolf combining very well. And that's really one of the strengths of still an early game. You may not be able to clear wave effectively, but your damage on enemy gods is still substantial enough where they have to respect you.
Well, you have to remember as well, these teams have much practice on patch 3.19, so that Scylla damage coming out early is, not being respected, and we saw that in the last set. We're seeing it again in this set.
And again, it comes back down to what we were talking about with Rob Diggity, adaptability. Being able to make sure you can play a wide range of gods with different functions and different team comps. And making sure that if a patch comes around which changes the very face of Smite, you're able to get into the swing of things as quickly as possible. And, well, it could potentially be a case here, again, that's a team that hasn't adapted fast enough and still could go off again.
And that's definitely not what Legacy want. They want their game. They want to be secured to go to LAN. And, we talked to Only Got a Solo yesterday. He said that's been their objective overall. That's been their expectation overall, is to go to LAN. And this is the set that'll decide it. Basically, this is a must win.
And if you get to LAN, that's fine. That's it. That's all you have to do. Finishing first and finishing fourth, it doesn't really matter so long as you are at that LAN stage.
Yeah, we saw that last split. Avant-Garde came in fourth, but ended up winning the LAN and didn't drop a game. So as long as you get there, as you said, that's the important part.
If you get that, then you have the exact same chance as anybody else of getting into the gank. But then on the left-hand side, gank coming out onto HS247. Trilogy with a
He doesn't have an ult.
This is a kill here onto him. Purelight picks it up.
Wow, first one by Corvidae onto Legacy. This is a much more aggressive Corvidae than we're used to seeing. Yesterday they were pretty passive, allowed Royalty to really dictate the terms a couple of times, but against Legacy, this looks like a different team.
I think they're just trying to take advantage of the fact that there is a newer jungler on the scene for Legacy right now, trying to expose that sort of inconsistency and lack of familiarity with Horizon and the rest of the team. And it could be working out here. Early game, the junglers are so pivotal to help get your team off to a good start. And Trilogy proving that exactly right now by getting his ADC with the first blood.
Weave channeling his ultimate here onto Shred. They're going to secure the speed buff while Trilogy's in mid. They're going to just leave it behind and not pick it up for themselves. I'm surprised Weave didn't actually pick that one up. Would have been useful for him to have as an Athena. Cryopator roll it around the backside of Legacy here and just heading towards his blue buff. But, an ultimate expended there at the cost of a speed buff for Corvidae. Good call there from Legacy to take that one away from the Ratatoska. Going to mean he can't rotate as fast as the Bots can.
Yes, they drop first blood, but they're not disheartened by it, our Legacy. It's not the end of the world for them, especially considering it's onto a Freya who's... Yes, you don't want to be behind as a Freya, but you can always come back. You can always still output massive amounts of damage when you've got your first 3 items online. And they get a trade out of it as well. They still get the speed, but they still deny farm to Corvidae, which puts them in a good position going into the next stage of the game.
And if there's anyone in the OC scene that knows how to play from behind, it's HS247. Last split, team was always ahead. This split, more often than not, they've actually found themselves behind, but he still had really good numbers even in those losses. I can remember his losses that have gone 0-0-0 or 0-1-0, things like that. So he's, been survivable. Ratatoska ulting in, just times his ultimate to get up and not knocked up there, gets a couple of shots off, just cancels the ultimate, gets himself back under tower.
But again, that's just another skill check coming out there from Trilogy saying, hey, HS247, are you ready to die? No, I'll be back in a second. Then as Only Got a Solo actually gets a solo kill to Cryopator. I said this was going to be a bloodbath in the solo lane, and it turns out it was nearly both of them falling down.
Yeah, Only Got a Solo is going to make the 1v1 fight anytime, any day. He loves that kind of one-on-one, me versus you kind of fight. And in the solo lane, his name suggests that that's where he belongs. He played jungle last split, but seems to have returned to his home here in the solo lane.
He played jungle for the beginning of this split as well. It didn't look like his best fit, but now he's back into solo and he's starting to get back to the point where he was in that split too, where he was one of the most, if not the most dominant solo laner out there until it got to the LAN stages. But he's doing very well so far against Cryoprator on the Sun Wukong. It has been his favorite pick, this Sun Wukong, has Cryoprator.
Yeah, it's one of his most gods. He's got really good stats on it as well. Doesn't die a whole lot. Actually, despite his team only having won 2 games, he's up in there in the top 5 of least deaths. So, you know, he's been very survivable in this lane, and Sun Wukong's part of the reason for that.
Yeah, but he has fallen victim to the good old solo kill from Solo Island, with Puremite already forced to separate and uses Purification thanks to the Athena and Hombat sleeping on him. No Fatal Evil expended just yet by Horizon, which means that Puremite has to be very careful for the next 150 seconds.
The Sentry Ward that has spotted out Corvidae's ward top entrance of the mid camps. And that's going to allow a really good avenue for Legacy to out any rotations coming through from Corvidae. And I like the fact that they've left their Sentry Ward there because it means that Corvidae is confident in their own vision and they can get caught out like this, like Trilogy has been, manages to dash away there, and now Legacy go through and take away that ward. Red buff has spawned. Legacy looking to take it away.
And looking, well, Trilogy is still around the area, so they can't go in, but they're going to instead turn it onto Lone Wolf. Good Stone Shield, but it does not immune most of the damage coming out from Shred. Instead, it just gets a Lone Wolf out of the situation in time. But the speed buff again being invaded, Trilogy going up into that tree of Yggdrasil, and lands down onto Weave.
HS doing some damage with his Valkyrie Discretion. Weave blocking for his ADC there. Speed buff and blue buff were taken away by Only Good at Solo and Horizon there. So a lot of invades coming through onto Corvidae, and this is where it's kind of unravels for Corvidae. They allow other teams to get pressure into their own jungle, takes away from their own farm, and they start to slip away. A right-hand side mid camps started up by Legacy. They take those ones away. Mid lane now, we can see Lone Wolf under 50% HP. As Shred and Horizon clear the way successfully here. Only Good at Solo, pushing Cryoprator out of lane yet again, but Cryo does have TP online for himself. Across the map, really seems to be domination from Legacy across the map, despite the first one. Lone Wolf forced into his ultimate, but he's just using it to get away here.
And well, Corvidae, they were aggressive very early on in this game, looking to try and exploit the fact that Horizon is newer into the jungle for the team. But so far, Horizon has been the one invading and being the aggressor after the fact. And their Legacy, they're the ones that have taken the game into their own hands.
And this is what they need to do. This is where they found success a lot last split, was when they really just played so aggressively. They were able to take farm away from the other teams, get more farm from themselves, and just put themselves in a position where it was just too hard for other teams to take a lead away from them. As we hit 8.5 minutes in the game, we can see that the lead has boosted out to 2,800 experience, 1,000 gold in favor of Legacy, despite the first blood going the way of Corvidae.
And it's really come down to the jungle and solo lane matchup. Because they've dominated this right-hand side of the jungle, have Legacy, Corvidae are behind in that respect. And it's not going to impact them too much in this early game, but once it starts transitioning into the mid-game where the solo laners make their rotations, Only Good at Solo is going to be that much scarier than Cryoprator.
And, you know, a big Vamana running at you out of the jungle is very scary indeed. Towards the mid lane, Shred's just going to back Horizon, forcing a wave under tower. Vision control pretty good between both these teams.
The ward coverage is an important factor in pretty much any single Smite game. If you can know where the enemies are, if you know where the rotation paths are going, you can either look to rotate behind them and get a counter gank off, or you can gank another side of the map where they are not. It's a bit more difficult for Corvidae to do that because Weaver's on this Athena. That global process with that Defender of Olympus.
Oh, Lone Wolf. Absolutely devastated there by Horizon Shred, and we've taunted into so much damage. The Fear No Evil was used there as well to ensure that Lone Wolf couldn't get away. He actually used the I'm a Monster there, but fell down in that ultimate, so that's going to be on cooldown as well. Gold Fury now started up by Legacy Esports, and Gold Fury taken by Legacy. Cataclysm used by Casification. In comes Trilogy. Horizon taken low, jumps away. Supernova comes through for Puremite. Horizon trapped between a rock and a hard place as Cryoprator comes in. Puremite secures the kill. HS247 doing some damage, but he's taken low. Neat ultimate comes through. Puremite taken low as well. HS trying to get off the pulse damage. Good body blocks by Weave. Puremite trapped in here. He's going to fall down. HS picks up the kill. Cryoprator somersault clouds away. Only Good at Solos here as well. They're trying to trap him in, but Cryoprator looks to be able to get away.
They get the Gold Fury, they get kills and do Legacy, and it's looking good for them right now in this game as they look to try and secure themselves and Alpha City a spot at LAN.
I can tell that Alpha City is going to be sitting there, eyes glued to the monitors, watching the results of this one. I think Swifty even said in his interview yesterday that they, as a team, are going to watch these games. You know, not only to see the result, but to study a potential opponent at LAN.
That's the thing. If you go into a LAN environment, you go in with your knowledge already there, because you don't really practice when you're at the event. You're just there to play the games. And if you're there without some form of game plan against every single other team, you are putting yourself at a massive disadvantage.
One thing to note about Alpha Sydney is that actually split against every single team. The only team they've been 2-0'd by has been Avant-Garde. They split twice with Legacy. They split once with Team Pandemonium. I believe they played them in the last week as well. So they've definitely been able to take games away from the top teams, but they've never been able to take them down in straight sets. And they've never played on LAN before. I believe the only member of their team that's played on LAN has been Slicey, who played in the Split 1 finals. Very interested to see how they will do at LAN if they get there. And that's all going to come down to this game, basically. Legacy looking to perhaps create something in the mid lane here as Weave hangs around near Shred, but in the end, they're just going to go for their speed buff.
Well, it's looking very good so far for both of those teams. As Legacy currently sitting at a 3,000 gold advantage. Experience still in their favor as well across the board. All of them are ahead.
Trilogy walks over a ward here, so Weave and Shred going to know he's in the area. He backs away. Shred, Horizon, Weave pushing up this mid again. Weave dives in with a taunt. Lone Wolf Purifications and Sentinels away. And Trilogy now crashes down onto two. Stuns out both Weave and Horizon. Weave took a lot of tower shots there. He's very poked. So good play there from Trilogy to force that out. Shred, look at this back. Just halfway up the lane. Actually turns around now and starts doing damage to Casification instead. Over towards the solo lane, only good at solo, fighting Cryopredator 1v1, forces him under the tower, 2-level advantage for the Vamana at this stage. Shred and Horizon back in the mid lane, pushing up at the tower. HS is pushing up on the duo side of things. Corvidae already restricted to one side of the jungle. Shred channeling the ultimate, not going to release that one now, and instead going to focus on the tier 1 tower in mid.
And if they get this tier 1 tower in mid, it just opens up a huge sway of the map.
Team fight left-hand side, Casification, Fear No Evil, Horizon gets the Cataclysm off his HS, holding the Valkyrie's discretion, trying to find Pure Might, misses all of his shots, but gets him with a basic attack instead. And down falls Pure Might Legacy, looking to push to the left-hand side now. Shred in the middle of the jungle, he's trying to steal away, or prevent at least, Corvidae from even considering the red buff, even though it's quite a while away. I'm not quite sure what Legacy are planning to do here. They don't really have the damage to finish off any of these members of Corvidae left of the jungle and not pushing the left-hand side either. There's two members of Legacy here, now really just Shred by himself. He needs to back away under the threat of getting caught out.
And this is one of the problems that Legacy have faced throughout the entirety of their inception as a team, is that they struggle to take objectives when they have the advantage. And they're just consistently looking for kills when they need to be looking for the towers, and it's what's separating them from being one of the top teams in OCE.
Alrighty. 13.5 minutes in the game, 7,800 experience, 4,400 gold. This is starting to look a little bit more like the game that we were expecting. Trilogy forced up into the ultimate. Legacy again invading the speed buff. Trilogy actually hovering over it, perhaps looking to drop down here. Instead chooses to go for the backhand speed buff, taken away yet again by Legacy. And Corvidae, they just don't seem to have any answers here.
No, they don't have any answers to only go solo as well. It's already managed to take down the tier 1 on that right-hand side.
Cryopredator, pretty much a non-factor in this game. Weave dashes in, taunts in two, in goes Rise as well. Fear No Evil. Lone Wolf was absolutely devastated there. Trilogy trying to do some damage to Horizon. Horizon tanking the tower, but the tower's already fallen down. Second tower of the game actually falling the way of Legacy yet again. Now they're pushing a minion wave under the T2 tower in mid, and this has opened up even more of the map for free for Legacy. Before it was a little bit risky to push into the speed and blue buff areas. Now they've really got pretty much free access to it.
And this is, again, Corvidae's issue, is they've been very passive consistently. They had good aggression earlier on in the game, at the very beginning. But the second something went wrong for them, they just went back into their shells and decided, we're going to let Legacy come on to us, and we're going to let them try and fight us, and then we're going to get the counter engage off. It's just not happened for them.
Legacy going to take the Gold Fury away here. Only got it solo and Horizon pressure up the other two lanes. Corvidae seem to be playing very scared against Legacy. Like early game, they just went in and got a kill first blood very early on, but since then, very, very passive play coming out from the murder.
Sometimes when you're in a game, you just have to say, sod it, and just go in as much as possible. Like full-on smoke mode, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, exactly right. I want to take a look at player damage here. You can see Scylla sitting right down the bottom, and we saw iDivine in the last set really go on a rampage with the Scylla and do so much damage even in the early game, but Lone Wolf just not replicating that same success.
Well, it's just not been the constant barrage of taunts that we saw in the last game coming out from Gruff, and that really set up iDivine. And this time it's relying on Trilogy and Kaisification playing the Radtasker and Gep to set up those other monsters. The Blink Cataclysm just hasn't been coming out so far from Kaisification. The engage has not been happening for Corvidae, which means that Lone Wolf has not been able to get the kills that he needs.
Solo lane again, only good at solo, clearing the way very nicely here. 2-level advantage for Cryopraetor. Cryopraetor, though, still, not letting it get out of hand here. He has lost a tower, but he hasn't lost too many kills. He did get soloed once, but, that's to be expected. Left-hand side, though, big fight coming out here. Shred burst down Trilogy, and Trilogy just no impact whatsoever in that fight. Crush came out from Lone Wolf, but didn't do nearly enough to stop Legacy. They don't have a lot of team sustain here, but they do have a lot of sustain with the Neath and the Freya. A tremendous amount of lifesteal for the Freya, and the Broken Weave coming through from Shred, so that means they're mainly pretty healthy here. Waiting for a minion wave to push up, and then they're going to be able to take this tower. Shred doesn't have as much penetration online as we saw a Cheetah play for Team Pandemonium in the last set. Weave dives in looking for Lone Wolf. Neath ultimate comes through again. Lone Wolf manages to get away here, but that's his purification. But Pure Might, not so lucky here, nearly bursted down, just barely manages to get away with the help of the Disapparate and the Stone Shield. Left-hand side tier 2 tower should fall down, only got a solo, has rotated in as well. The tower falls down, and now Legacy pushing already towards a Phoenix.
This is a very early Phoenix. It's not the earliest Phoenix we've seen, it's not the quickest game we've seen, but it's certainly looking to be a very fast one as Legacy. They don't want to wait, they want to make sure that their land trip is secured as quickly as possible.
Now HS zoning away Pure Might. They're just doing so much damage to him. Inside Phoenix is down. HS now might finish off Kaisification. Valkyrie's discretion enough to finish him off. Might get a double here as he's looking for Trilogy, but the Sanctuary is enough to save Trilogy. He dashes away into the fountain. HS looking now for Cryopraetor and his decoy. The decoy falls down. Middle towers and Phoenix is still available. Legacy gonna back away. They realize that the Titan and the team of Corvidae have too low respawn timers, too much protections on the Titan for them to try and adjust at this moment.
But it's sort of a similar situation that we saw in the last game as well, where Pandemonium potentially could have ended against Avant-Garde in Game 2. Just too many structures available, though, which means that it's not feasible to do it in the amount of time that they had.
Alrighty, 18 minutes in the game, 8-2 reads the score. Very low scoring game. Really, a lot of really low scoring games these sets today, and focusing a lot more on kind of the macro play than individual one-on-one or 3v3 kills, which is, showing a little bit of evolution in the OCE scene from what we used to see. OCE used to be very much renowned as the brawl all the time, I always want to fight you kind of meta.
But now it's getting into a more sophisticated time as well, where everyone's really thinking very hard about every single little interaction that you can do, every single little nuance of every god. Like, we've seen sort of a lot of adaptability coming out from Pandemonium and Avant-Garde. It's starting to be replicated here by Legacy and Alpha Sydney. Corvidae, they're still learning and still finding their feet in this OPL setting.
Well, Corvidae not going to find their tower here as Horizon starting to deal some damage with the Pheno Evil. HS247 picks up the kill onto Trilogy. Cryopraetor just barely managed to get in the sky as the right-hand side tier 2 falls. Middle lane, there's minions pushing in onto the tower there. Shred was previously pushing that one up. Kaisification falls down, and now Legacy going to turn their sights to that mid tier 2 tower. Then I imagine the objective is going to be the Phoenix, and then from there the Titan. Lone Wolf, his ultimate was down. It was missed before onto Shred, so Legacy could safely pretty much fight into this. Taunt onto Pure Might here from Weave. He's taking lots of damage from the tower. His team's focusing on kills rather than the objectives, but now they have some minions here. They should be able to take this one pretty easily. Supernova comes out, but doesn't do a whole lot for Corvidae. Legacy eSports looking for the right-hand side Phoenix. They should be able to get this one pretty cleanly. Shred doing a lot of damage at this point. Same with HS247. Middle Phoenix falls down, and now the Titan is laid bare for Legacy to push into.
They're just too far behind right now at Corvidae. If they managed to get those sort of engagements before, managed to get something that they found for their first blood earlier on, and consistently throughout the game, they could have been having the advantage for themselves. They could have been the ones pushing on Phoenixes, but instead just let up too much, and they allowed Legacy back into the game and gave them the opportunities that they needed to potentially go on ahead and win.
Well, that's what they're looking to do now. Weave channeling his ultimate onto Only Good at Solo, who's tanking the Titan here. And Olympus comes slamming down, and Lone Wolf got up into his ultimate, but it was too little too late. Corvidae dropped game number 1. Legacy Esports and Alpha Sydney folks are confirmed for the Split 3 finals.
There's a fantastic game coming out from Legacy. A quick one as well, showing exactly why they deserve to go to LAN, and Corvidae maybe still have a bit to learn in terms of the OPL. They're going to be confirmed for relegations as our Trilogy.
Royalty.
So as our Royalty. I keep getting them mixed up for some reason.
Yeah.
But Royalty going into the relegations as well. If they can find wins there, if they can find their feet again, if they can come back into the OPL, they'll have that experience with them. They'll have those chips on their shoulder, and they'll have some idea of what to do going into the next split. But again, unfortunately, the dream falls short for Corvidae.
Look, you know, Corvidae have already doubled their win total from last split. Actually, more than doubled. They didn't get any wins, so they got 2 wins. So they can come out next split, can maybe get 4 wins. And it's the same with Royalty. It's all about learning from the OPL teams, and that experience of playing against teams like Pandas and Avant is invaluable for those teams. So I'm sure they'll come through the relegations process very strongly. We're going to take a short break, and then we'll be back with our final game for the week, the second game between Legacy Esports and Corvidae.